on the following turn, if this Lily's Clefairy EX doesn't hang around, there it is. Is that an announcement of the attack? Or it's just a pass, maybe?
Wait. Is it just a pass?
What you have just seen is arguably the smartest play in the Pokemon trading card game history, and that play was to do nothing. Welcome to the 2025 NAIC International Championship, where in top 4, Tord Reklev is up against Riley Mckay. The scores are tied 1-1. Whoever wins this will find themselves in a final up against Isaiah Bradner. The stakes could not be higher. And not only that, unfortunately for Riley, he is versing arguably the greatest player of all time in Tord Reklev. And this wasn't just any Tord, this was the most prepared we have seen Tord for an event in a very long time. So it was not a surprise at all to see Tord in top 4 at this table. So Riley Mckay had his work cut out for him in this situation. But what we didn't know is that Tord had prepared for everything, except for nothing. And Riley, he found that nothing. In announcing Pass, he had just created one of the most iconic Pokemon trading card game moments to date. You see, this pass had so many layers to it that the fact that Riley came up with this play in the heat of the moment is absolutely incredible, and I applaud Riley for his creativity, as we're going to break down what I think is the best play this game has ever seen. Alright, so in this situation, if you're Riley, you are in a very unfavorable position. You were turn 0 of time, which sucks because it means Tord gets turn 3, and this is the turn that you want as it is the final turn of the game, and all you have to do will be take the prize lead and win the game. So let me just step back for a second and explain the rules. So in Pokemon, when time is called, both players have 2 additional turns, going turn 0, 1, 2, and 3, and then it's over. However, there is an additional rule to this rule, is that if both players are tied on prize cards by the end of turn 3, there has to be a winner. But this is only applied in top 8, top 4, and finals of this event. And this being top 4, this rule was applied. So if at the end of these turns, both players were still equal on 3 prize cards, which is exactly what happened, whoever took the next prize card would win the game. So Riley found a way to make himself that final turn of the game and take the last prize card to go ahead and take the win. And it all started out with the previous turn where Tord took out Riley's only Gardevoir in play. And that was a problem, because Riley now can't re-establish another routes. If he does, all Tord has to do would be find Hawlucha and swing into the active Clefairy and then take out the routes and win the game, because the routes would be a free prize card. So Riley can't exactly establish a second Gardevoir here. And that is a problem, because all he has is a single Clefairy with 2 energy. But that's all he needed, and he found a way to win the game. After taking a look at Tord's discard pile, he took a note that 3 of Tord's 4 bosses were already played. So now that means Tord had 1 out to win the game, as that meant if he finds the boss, then Tord can obviously just gust up either of the monkeys or the Pheasantipity on the final turn and just win the game like that. But not only was there boss, there was also jamming tower. You see that Clefairy had the tool Bravery Charm attached, which gave it 50 extra HP, meaning that right now, with this 2 damage on it, Clefairy had, if I'm not mistaken, 220 HP. With Dragapult's Phantom Dive only doing 200 damage, it survives a hit, and nothing on the bench right now can die to that 60 damage counters that Dragapult does as well. So he knows that in this position, there is no way for Tord to take a knockout. He had to also go through all the extra things. If he does take a knockout, is there a way that Tord can now find a way to take out the Clefairy? And the answer is yes, Blood Moon Ursaluna. Blood Moon Ursaluna states that it costs 1 energy less for each prize card your opponent has taken, and if Riley Mckay had taken 5 prize cards, which he would have if he took out the Dragapult, then that means Ursaluna is attacking for free, and we know that Tord has the free pivot as he has the Latias in play, and if the Ursaluna takes out the Clefairy, Riley Mckay has absolutely nothing to respond to, and then he would just probably have to pass or Mind Bend, and going into Tord's next turn, all he would have to do would be to find a Dragapult, find energy, and win the game like that. Not only that, if he did take a knockout on the Dragapult, it would also give Tord access to the Pheasantipity and just maximizing his outs to draw into that game-winning card. So killing the Dragapult was a no-go, and this is where he goes for the pass play. And if you think about it, this is by far the best play he could have done in this scenario, as Tord had quite a big hand as he played Research that turn, so the odds of him having the Jamming Tower or boss in hand was quite high. So Riley Mckay limited his hand by playing the Iono, meaning Tord had to draw 3 cards as he was on 3 prizes remaining, and all he would have access to would be the draw for turn, which would be an additional card, meaning 4, and the 2 Drew Cloaks, meaning an additional 4 cards, meaning 8, which is quite a lot, but it is much better than Tord having 7 fresh cards in his hand and then drawing another like 8 regardless. So the problem was that Tord probably had it, and in this situation where he just announced pass, Tord had to find that boss or had to find that Jamming Tower in those cards, and if he was unable to, then Riley knew that he would win the game. But you're thinking, alright, well, can't Tord just stall out for 1 extra turn? Like, maybe he'll be able to find a way that Riley can't, you know, take a knockout. Maybe he can bench the Ursaluna and then put that into the active and maybe it can tank a hit. The problem is, it can't. The turn before, Riley benched a Monkey Dory, and this Monkey Dory bench is incredibly important, as if we take a count of the bench Pokemon, there's 8 bench Pokemon in total, including the Fairy in active, which would be 9. If Tord benched that Ursaluna, that now would go up to 10. Clefairy does 20 damage for each bench Pokemon, including 20 as base damage. So that means it would be swinging for 220 damage. But you're thinking, that's not enough. Ursaluna has 260 damage. Well, that is why Riley didn't move damage the previous turn off of any of his Pokemon. Because now, with his 2 Monkey Dories that have Dark Energy, he can move this damage onto that Ursaluna to do that additional 40 damage, which would equal 260, meaning now this Clefairy can one-shot everything in Tord's active position. So by passing, it meant Tord had no lines of surviving this next turn, and Riley Mckay would guaranteed win the game. And that is exactly what played out. In fact, the moment was so beautiful, I'm going to end this video here with the play itself. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Okay.
So can
Tord just take a prize card here, right?
a boss's orders doesn't activate Counter Catcher for sure,
This is
but
true.
Tord does play
Jamming Tower.
a heavy boss's orders line, does play Jamming Tower, does have the attacker ready in the active
I
spot.
guess this doesn't activate Flip the Script, so it is going to be recon directed to see if we can play musical chairs here.
Was that the right play?
Wow.
How many bosses are in the discard pile? There's quite a few. Bosses probably been moved to the bottom, maybe from the previous turn of that Iono as well. Tord has to find a card potentially to shuffle the deck around
Oh,
just Ionos.
wow, double supporters, by the way, on these few turns. One more recon directive. Boss's orders would be huge.
But is it possible when potentially it went down to the bottom of the deck after the Iono play?
Oh, not there.
This, maybe Riley's found the one out here just by the pass over, knowing the Dragapult. I mean, unless the Iono somehow hits the Jamming Tower this turn.
This is true.
Does shuffle the deck around with the Buddy Poffin. We get confirmation, yeah, the boss's orders and the Jamming Tower both at the bottom of the deck. So it potentially is now
Heads up play there from Riley. Love that.
an Iono play into just the 1 out remaining to try and reduce the HP back down to within range with that Jamming Tower, where Pokemon tools attached to each Pokemon have no effect, so that Bravery Charm will no longer provide basic Pokemon an additional 50 HP. He has to hit this one-off card. How many cards are in that deck? It's probably about 20 odd.
It's a good few.
Yeah, Iono to 3. That's likely to be the only out, even if he hits Blood Moon. I mean, with a full board, yeah, I mean, this is going to be really difficult here. But he's just working out all the odds, all the calculations. This is really heads-up play by Riley.
Really was.
Iono down and just passed over. Because knowing that if Riley could take the lead in prizes when it's already beyond the 3 turns, it would mean Riley then would progress.
Yeah.
Because he has the advantage in this top cut position.
What a heads-up play that is. Basically saying, if you don't KO me, I'm in the final. It's that simple.
There's the shuffle of the deck.
Okay.
Will Riley cut it? I mean, this
my
could be the
goodness.
decision here.
Iono to 3 to try and find that jamming tower to turn off the bravery charm on the Lily's Keferi, reducing that hit points low
There you
enough.
go, to the
Towards asking
judges.
the judge,
Here we
saying, I
go.
don't want it to be in my hands.
Oh, our friends.
Here we go.
Your friend, my friend. Whose friend is it?
This is what it's all going to come down to. Our last slot in the North American International Championships.
Judges finished with the shuffling.
Here
This is a
we
big...
go. It's his time. Consult in the discard pile. This is what it's come down to after rounds and rounds of action. An Iono to 3. Are we going to see the jamming tower? Only one way to find out.
It's landed.
being played. Here we go. Everybody, get off your phones. Eyes on the screen. Everyone, if you're in the venue, look at the big screen up there.
Here we go.
Let's make some noise, everybody. Are we going to see the jamming tower? Iono to 3. 1, 2, 3. Energy.
We didn't see
They
it.
didn't seem to see it. What is it? I still can't see. I don't think it was.
It can't have been. He's missed.
It wasn't Ultra Ball being played.
How far down?
How far was it?
Luna. I don't know if that's enough. Blood
Well, no, what this does do, does it push you out of range of
It
an
does.
attack?
260 HP, right? It's a big Blood Moon and Artisan coming down. But then Monkey Dory sends it across with Lily's Keferi. EX, this is
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's enough damage. This
I
is
think
it.
we're going to see it there. The Adrenaline
Surely.
Brain's coming in the clutch. Full Moon Rondo. This should be enough for a KO. There's the fist bump confirmation. Riley Mckay with one of the most heads-up plays I've ever seen. The tactical pass.